It's not always sugar that spikes your blood sugar. Sometimes it's what's missing from your plate. And that's why nearly 1 in 2 adults over 65 already has prediabetes, and 80% have no idea. Welcome back to the Senior Health Podcast, where Japanese wisdom meets Western science to solve aging with what actually works. In this episode, we're exploring a natural but overlooked solution for blood sugar control, one that doesn't come in a bottle or from a lab, but from leaves. According to the American Diabetes Association, over 16 million Americans over 65 have diabetes, yet many are being treated for the wrong thing. So, things like memory loss, fatigue, weight gain are all blamed on aging, when the real cause is unstable blood sugar no one's checking. That misdiagnosis costs time, energy, and years of life, not because the signs weren't there, but because we weren't trained to see them. And sitting across from me today is someone who spent over a century training others to see exactly that. Japan's oldest practicing physician, Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara, age 100 plus, still sees patients every week, still lectures at medical universities, and still believes nature often holds the first answer before pharmaceuticals do. No one is better equipped to guide us through this topic and show us what we've missed than him.
Thank you, John. It's an honor, and I'm glad we're having this conversation. Let me ask you this. How can we fix blood sugar with medication if we never address the foods or the plants that cause the imbalance in the first place?
You're right. We can't. If we never address the foods or the plants that are missing, then medication becomes a patch, not a solution. It's like trying to mop up water without turning off the tap.
Yes, definitely. And it's more common than people realize. And it's not always the sugar you eat. Sometimes it's the inflammation you carry, the stress your organs are under, or the meals that spike your insulin without you even tasting sweetness. So today we'll walk through 3 natural leaves, yes, leaves, that are quietly being studied for their ability to support healthy glucose levels. By the end, you'll not only know their names, but how to use them, who they're best for, and why most doctors still overlook them. So don't miss a minute.
I think it's not that the signs are wrong. It's that we've been asking the wrong questions about what's behind them.
Exactly. And when the cause is misunderstood, the solution becomes a trap. More pills, more side effects, and still no clarity. But when we shift the focus, when we look at the gut, the liver, the enzymes, the picture changes completely. That's where these leaves come in. They don't fight the symptoms, they support the system.
That reminds me of my Aunt Eleanor, 75, still sharp, but she started forgetting words, getting dizzy after lunch, and waking at 3 a.m. drenched in sweat. Her doctor blamed age, maybe early dementia. But a closer look at her meals told a different story. Fruit juice in the afternoon, rice crackers before bed. Her blood sugar was on a roller coaster. We made a few swaps and added 1 leaf-based tea in the evening. And within days, her focus and sleep returned.
That's what's missing in modern care. Not stronger drugs, but stronger observation.
So today, I want to ask you, when we talk about blood sugar, why start with leaves? Why not jump to medications or lab values like most doctors do?
Because leaves work with the body, not against it. They don't override systems, they restore them. And some, like the ones we'll discuss today, have been used for centuries to balance sugar, long before insulin was ever discovered.
That's fascinating. But why do you think these solutions disappeared from mainstream care?
Because modern medicine often chases the symptom, not the source, and leaves don't come with patents. They come with patience.
So it's not just about what they do, it's how they do it.
Exactly. These leaves don't force the body to respond. They support the organs quietly, like giving the liver a chance to breathe, or the gut a chance to recalibrate.
And that's where we begin, with the leaf that doesn't just lower sugar, but actually helps reverse one of the most overlooked root causes, insulin resistance. Let's talk about the one you've used with patients for decades, the slightly bitter, often ignored leafy green that starts working from the liver outward.
The first leaf I always recommend to my patients is white mulberry leaf. It doesn't just cleanse, it intercepts. The compounds inside, especially DNJ, slow down the enzymes that turn carbs into sugar.
So instead of sugar rushing in, it enters like a slow drip?
Exactly. It flattens the glucose spike after meals, which means less stress on the pancreas and less of that post-meal crash.
And that's something medication doesn't always fix, right?
Right. Many medications lower blood sugar overall, but they don't control how fast it enters. And that sudden spike is what leads to damage over time.
So this leaf actually changes how the body responds to the meal itself.
Yes, and that's what makes it unique. It doesn't just manage sugar, it changes the rhythm of digestion.
Would you say it's most effective before high-carb meals then?
Absolutely. 1 cup of tea or a small dose of extract 15 to 30 minutes before eating, and you're setting the stage for a smoother glucose response.
And is there science to back this up? Especially for people who are skeptical of plant-based approaches.
There are human trials, in fact. One study found mulberry leaf reduced post-meal blood sugar significantly, even more than some medications, with no side effects.
That's incredible and empowering, especially for people who felt trapped between food and fear. Because instead of avoiding every carb or blaming themselves for numbers they can't control, they now have a tool, one that doesn't fight the body. It simply slows the sugar down. So for those listening, let's get practical. What's the safest way to add white mulberry leaf into your routine after 60?
The safest way is to start with tea. 1 cup before your largest meal of the day. It gives you the active compound DNJ in a gentle, easily absorbed form. And it also allows your body to adjust gradually without shocking the system.
Would capsules or powders work just as well for people who don't enjoy tea?
They do, but dosing becomes more important. Most clinical trials used around 3 grams per day, usually divided across meals. So it's best to follow those guidelines and monitor closely.
And what about people on insulin or other glucose-lowering meds?
They need to be careful. Because mulberry leaf slows sugar absorption, it can enhance the effect of medications. And in some cases, blood sugar might dip too low.
That's an important warning. Not because the leaf is dangerous, but because it actually works, which is rare with natural tools. So for anyone listening, talk to your doctor, especially if you're on insulin, and start slow. A tea a day isn't a miracle, but it's a powerful nudge in the right direction. So now let's take a look at the second leaf on your list that may help seniors manage blood sugar spikes.
The second leaf on my list is chicory. It doesn't lower blood sugar like a drug would. It strengthens the organs that manage sugar, the liver, the pancreas, and the gut.
So it's more like giving the body back its tools instead of forcing the outcome.
Exactly. Chicory's bitter compounds stimulate bile flow and support liver detox, which plays a quiet but powerful role in sugar balance. Most people forget the liver stores and releases glucose. If it's sluggish, everything else falls apart.
That makes sense. But how does the gut come into play?
The fibers in chicory, especially inulin, feed beneficial bacteria in the intestine. And when your gut is balanced, your insulin response becomes calmer, more efficient.
Is that why so many people with prediabetes also have digestive issues?
Absolutely. Constipation, bloating, cravings. They're not just annoying side effects. They're metabolic clues.
And I imagine many seniors chalk those things up to aging or just having a slow stomach.
They do. But what's really happening is systemic. The gut is inflamed, the liver is overworked, and the cells have stopped listening to insulin.
That's a full picture. So when someone eats chicory regularly, as a green, a tea, even in cooked dishes, they're not just getting vitamins. They're calming inflammation, repairing the microbiome, and reminding the liver how to self-regulate. That's what makes this leaf different. It's not fighting sugar. It's reminding the body how to work again.
Yes, and it's important to understand, John, chicory doesn't push blood sugar down like medication. It works upstream at the level of sensitivity and regulation. The bitter elements tell the liver and pancreas, wake up, while the fibers calm the chaos in the gut.
So in a way, it's not treating the sugar. It's retraining the system.
Exactly. And that's why results build over time. It's not a crash. It's a quiet reset.
You mentioned the gut. Does this mean people with IBS or irregular digestion might benefit even more?
They often do. Inulin, the fiber in chicory, feeds good bacteria like bifidobacteria. And those bacteria, in turn, help balance hormones involved in blood sugar.
And what about fatigue? A lot of seniors I see complain of exhaustion, even when their sugar readings are normal.
That's a clue the liver isn't clearing properly. Toxins linger, blood becomes heavier, and mitochondria slow down. Chicory helps by improving bile production, which supports not just sugar control, but energy levels too.
Would you say this is why so many people feel more clear-headed after just a few days of adding bitter greens?
Yes, and that clarity is a signal. Not just that sugar is stabilizing, but that the whole system is becoming more responsive again.
It really shifts the way we think about food. It's not about calories or carbs. It's about communication. And chicory, as simple as it seems, restores that internal dialogue. It's not dramatic, it's not trendy, but it's dependable. And for those listening today who felt off and couldn't explain why, this may be the piece you've overlooked. So let's break it down. What's the best way to start using it safely, especially after 60?
Start small, John. Especially if someone isn't used to bitter flavors. A few raw leaves in a salad, lightly steamed with olive oil or brewed as a tea in the evening. The key is consistency, not quantity.
That's helpful. And for those on medication, is there any risk of interaction?
Generally, no. Chicory supports the system but doesn't force it, so it pairs well with most diabetes medications. Though anyone starting should monitor their levels closely.
What about people with sensitive digestion? Could the inulin cause bloating?
In some cases, yes, especially if introduced too fast. That's why I always recommend starting with tea or cooked chicory first before moving to raw.
So it's not about rushing it. It's about building tolerance slowly, just like we would with any new protocol. And that alone might be the mindset shift seniors need. That healing doesn't have to be instant to be effective. We've just forgotten how to let food lead. That brings us to the final leaf. Doctor, can you tell us about this one?
That final leaf is papaya leaf, and it's far more than folk medicine. It contains enzymes like papain that directly support pancreatic function, which is critical for insulin production. But what makes it special is that it works on both sides. It helps the body use insulin more efficiently and reduces the sugar floating in the bloodstream.
So it's almost like helping the factory and the workers, not just managing the output.
Exactly. When the pancreas is supported, everything becomes smoother. Insulin doesn't have to work as hard. The blood sugar response becomes more predictable.
And I've read it also helps the liver, right?
Yes, very much so. The antioxidants in papaya leaf help clear out oxidative stress. one of the hidden reasons why sugar gets trapped in the blood instead of being used by the cells.
That's something we don't talk about enough, how stress, even cellular stress, can stall glucose use.
And in seniors, that buildup can be silent but devastating. You feel tired, your skin changes, your wounds heal slower, and no one connects it back to oxidative overload.
So this leaf doesn't just impact sugar, it affects the healing process too?
Absolutely. That's why in traditional medicine, papaya leaf is used not only for sugar, but also for immunity, digestion, and wound recovery, because everything is connected.
That connection is what keeps standing out today. These aren't band-aid solutions. They're functional tools, ones that work quietly in the background, helping the body remember how to regulate, how to repair, how to stay balanced. And when used wisely, they offer something medication often doesn't: restoration. So let's close this out with the practicals. How can a senior safely try papaya leaf without overdoing it?
The safest way is to start with papaya leaf tea, just a small cup, once every 2 or 3 days. It's very potent, and because of its bitter compounds and enzymes, more is not better. Seniors especially should begin slowly, watching how their digestion and energy respond.
Is it something people should take with food or on an empty stomach?
Ideally, it's taken with or after a light meal. That way the enzymes support digestion and don't overwhelm the stomach, especially if someone has a sensitive gut.
And are there any groups who should avoid it altogether?
Yes, anyone on blood thinners or with low platelet counts should be cautious. Papaya leaf can mildly affect clotting in some cases, so it's important to check with a physician first.
That's a good reminder. Natural doesn't always mean harmless, especially when mixed with medication.
Exactly. But when used thoughtfully, even once or twice a week, it can make a real difference in how the pancreas and liver respond to sugar.
And that's the theme running through all 3 leaves. They don't force change, they invite it. Whether it's calming inflammation, slowing sugar entry, or improving enzyme balance, each one speaks to the body in a different way. And if there's one message I hope listeners take from this, it's that healing doesn't always have to be loud to be powerful. You just have to know where to look and give your body the right tools to remember what it already knows.
Yes, absolutely. And if there's one thing age has taught me, it's that the body is never broken. It's simply waiting for the right support. These leaves may seem small, but their effects ripple through the system. And the beauty is, they ask for nothing but consistency and respect.
It's a powerful reminder that nature isn't outdated, it's just underused. I know a lot of listeners today are probably thinking, could something this simple really work for me? And that's exactly the mindset we need to challenge. Dr. Hinohara, before we close, if you had to leave our audience with just one line, one truth about blood sugar and aging, what would it be?
Don't treat your blood sugar like an enemy. Treat it like a signal and respond with care, not control.
That's one I won't forget. And if you've made it this far, let us know in the comments. It tells us you're not just listening, you're taking charge of your health. Make sure to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'll see you next time on the Senior Health Podcast.